Alright, boys, there you have it. Hey, never say I ain't looked out for y'all, right? 8 ruthless, I'd say 8 lessons, right, that make you ruthlessly dangerous. These are 8 tools right here, right? By the Machiavellian, what you call it, library of secrets. You know, I know it's an AI generating information kind of channel, but hey, it might make sense. Stick around, right?
Imagination that shifted realities till paradigms shift into shades you ain't never seen. Was once excited for all this, now I ain't trying to be seen forever. Cause this mind is straight chatter, but I can barely say something. I feel like shit don't matter, so beware the fun cutting. It's volumes of the.
Alright, back at it. Let's get it.
If someone values security, you present your ideas in terms of safety and stability. If someone values recognition...
Oh shit, yeah, before we proceed, man, I gotta introduce the part 2 too. You know what I'm saying? We gotta do this in segments, man. I realize people got a small digestive system. You know, I gotta take it easy. I cannot give the whole reaction like that, right? So the live is the live, is just so that we can kick it and see that, you know, everybody's all cool and straight and still lovely, still healthy, still safe. That's what the live is for. But then straight after the live is up, I need to unlist that motherfucker, and then I'll just chop it up as VODs, right? As little segments of the videos. And that's why I do what I do. That's why you get the word from the sponsor. That's why you get the black screen. That's why you get the part 2. Right? So part 2, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking at 8 ruthless lessons that make you dangerously smart. Machiavelli. The channel is dark psychology coded. Yeah, let's get it.
You present your ideas in terms of achievement and acknowledgement.
Tell me why.
If someone values freedom, you present your ideas in terms of independence and choice.
Nice.
You're not changing your message. You're changing how you present your message to match their psychological profile.
Cool.
This is incredibly powerful in leadership, sales, parenting, and relationships. When people feel like you understand them at a deep level, they naturally want to work with you, follow you, and support you.
Oh, snap. And I think that's one of the qualities that the leaders of old had. You know what I'm saying? When you're looking at people like Jesus Christ and them, they didn't even you know, lead people through coercion and things like that. Like, he didn't even force people. People wanted to give it up. Pause. Like, that's it, that's all, right?
The ethical way.
People like, yeah, like the leaders of old, bro, like Buddha, you feel me? The known ones.
To use psychological eco is to genuinely care about understanding people and helping them get what they need. When you use this technique to serve others' best interests, it becomes a tool for building stronger, more meaningful relationships.
Right.
Number 6, ambiguous morality. You're neither good nor bad. You just get things done. Real power doesn't always come in black and white. Sometimes it lives in the gray areas. Machiavelli once said, "Since it is difficult to join them together, it is safer to be feared than to be loved when one of the two must be lacking."
Right.
This is the most controversial trait of dark intelligence, and it's the one that gets misunderstood the most.
Why?
So let me be very clear about what this means and what it doesn't mean.
Need that.
Ambiguous morality doesn't mean having no morals. It doesn't mean doing whatever you want, regardless of consequences. It doesn't mean hurting people to get ahead. What it means is understanding that the real world is complicated.
Yeah.
Sometimes...
Oh shit, you know what thought just hit my head? Because of that. Chat. Right? Chat. Like the chat, like from live streams and shit like that. Chat is like the most ambiguous motherfucker on planet Earth, bro. You know what I'm saying? And love to chat. Like, all love to chat. I'm saying all love to that entity. It's an entity. It's a mind of its own, but it's like it's a mind that can never make up its mind. It's a confusing mind, because if you take chat seriously, you gotta think, bro. Chat is individual people. You got people that love you there. You got people that hate you there. You got people that, you know what I'm saying, that like that don't know what this is about. They probably just hear maybe, you know, you've been covering a hot topic as of late, and they just want to keep hearing about this topic, and you're one of the creators they just bump into as per searching for the topic, you know what I'm saying, and you just happen to be live, you know what I'm saying. They, you know, they found it from your stream title or whatever. They're like, yo, let me click into this stream, you know what I mean. Your mods got the titling right and everything like that. You attracted those people. They don't got like no love, no hate for you. They just here for what you got to say, right? You got a whole bunch of people in chat. So chat, when we're like, yo, chat, what's up? It's not like you talking to one person. Even when you're like asking chat something, yo, chat, is this a good idea or is this a bad idea, right? It's like you'll have a bunch of people that will say, you know, it's good or it's bad. But then again, you got to think, people go according to the majority of what the consensus, basically the consensus of whatever the creator is, you know, engaging chat into. And, you know, whatever consensus people are like, yo, this is what we decide. There might be people that speak against that kind of decision, that kind of consensus in there, right? There might be people that feel differently. But right, chat is the same thing as people in the world. There's all type of people, bro. You just like, you know, I just feel hurt. Well, I feel sad for the people that end up taking it so seriously that they end up listening to the you know, the toxic people to a point where they delete themselves because of what chat said. But if you think about chat, it's not really one thing. You feel me? So I feel like being that kind of chameleon, bro, changing those colors as per, like, you know, your understanding of what this is. It's not just, you know, one mental, like mental train, right? Train of thought or whatever. So one day you might want to tap into like the ignorant parts of chat, you know, the people that are just here to be ignorant. The next day you might just like fall into the rabbit hole of the rage baiting that the trolls in chat can like have you on. Understand what I'm saying? Some of the days you might be feeling mentally like tough and wise, and you like block out those, you know, those naysaying parts of chat, and you just focus on the ones that are like giving you positive energy, because all those energies are constantly there though. That's the thing about it. You know what I mean? So I feel like, yeah, 2026 version of this is the chat conversation.
Doing the right thing in the short term leads to worse outcomes in the long term.
Ooh.
Sometimes being nice enables bad behavior.
Oh, shit. Talk about
Sometimes protecting people requires making decisions that aren't pretty.
Yep.
Here's the reality.
Where is it?
Pure moral clarity is a luxury that most people can't afford when they're dealing with complex situations involving real consequences.
Right.
Let me give you some examples to illustrate this concept. Imagine you're in a leadership position and you discover that a team member has been consistently lying to clients and damaging relationships.
Crazy.
The nice thing to do might be to give them another chance, provide more training, and hope they improve.
Yeah.
But what about the other team members who are working honestly?
You see, they're enabled. You've enabled them to think it's okay to be on the same kind of behavior. Crazy.
What about the clients who are being deceived?
Oh, shit.
What about the long-term health of the organization? Someone with ambiguous morality might decide that protecting the many is more important than being nice to the one.
Yeah.
They might make the difficult decision to remove that person from the team, even though it feels harsh. This isn't cruelty. This is pragmatic ethics.
Damn.
For example, someone asks you for advice about a relationship that you can see is toxic and destructive. The kind thing to do might be to be supportive and avoid saying anything negative. But someone with ambiguous morality might decide that true kindness requires telling the difficult truth, even if it temporarily hurts the person's feelings.
Yeah.
The key principle here is focusing on outcomes rather than appearances. Sometimes the action that looks good on the surface creates bad results. Sometimes the action that looks harsh on the surface creates better results for everyone involved. This requires a different kind of moral thinking.
So making that harsh example out of the one, just to show the many, hey, don't fuck around, buddy.
Instead of asking, what action makes me look like a good person?
Right.
You ask, what action leads to the best outcomes for the most people? It also requires taking responsibility for the consequences of your decisions, even when those decisions are difficult or unpopular.
I see.
But here's the crucial distinction. Ambiguous morality is not the same as selfishness. You're not doing whatever benefits you at others' expense. You're making pragmatic decisions that serve the greater good, even when those decisions are personally difficult. This trait also involves understanding that different situations require different responses.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna lie. Wait, why does this guy look like a 78-year-old version of XQC? That's crazy. No, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like that this kind of decision, you know, these kind of experiences explained right here, these are the kind of experiences, you know, that like bosses, like founders, you know what I'm saying, people that do maybe that work with a lot of people in terms of, you know, hiring a lot of people, having to fire some people or things like that, you know what I mean? These are the kind of things that they go through. You know what I mean?
The same action that's wrong in one context might be necessary in another context. For example, being completely honest might be the right approach in a close personal relationship, but it might be counterproductive in certain professional negotiations where strategic disclosure is more effective. Someone with ambiguous morality understands these nuances and adapts their approach accordingly. The danger of this trait is that it can be used to justify selfish or harmful behavior. That's why it's crucial to maintain clear ethical guidelines about what you will and won't do, even in complex situations. My recommendation is to establish clear boundaries for yourself. What are your non-negotiable values? What lines will you never cross? What outcomes are you willing to accept responsibility for? Within those boundaries, give yourself...
You see now, boys? Now, you know, asking these kind of questions to yourself, we're now developing into being principled men. Right?
Permission to be pragmatic and strategic, even when it means making decisions that others might not understand or approve of. Remember, the goal is not to be liked by everyone. The goal is to be effective and ethical in a complex world where simple answers don't always work. Number 7, controlled exposure. You don't reveal everything about yourself. The less people know, the more they assume. And assumptions lead to mistakes that make your strategy easier. Machiavelli once said, "Men are so simple of mind and so much dominated by their immediate needs that a deceitful person will always find plenty who are ready to be deceived." In a world where people share every detail of their lives on social media, controlled exposure might seem outdated, but it's actually more powerful than ever. When everyone is oversharing, the person who shares strategically stands out. When everyone is broadcasting their thoughts and feelings, the person who keeps some mystery becomes intriguing. Controlled exposure is about being intentional with your personal information. It's about understanding that not everyone needs to know everything about you, and that selective sharing can actually strengthen your relationships and increase your influence. Let's start with the psychology behind this. Humans are naturally curious creatures. When we encounter something incomplete or mysterious, our brains automatically try to fill in the gaps. This is called the curiosity gap, and it's one of the most powerful psychological forces in human behavior.
Why?
When you practice controlled exposure, you create curiosity gaps that make people more interested in you and more attentive to what you do share.
But now, you know, the one risk though that I would associate with, you know, people's curiosity gaps about you is that you know, that gap might be filled in by information that's just like so alienating, right? So like so destructive, to a point where those people might be so sure that, yo, whatever they filled into those curiosity gaps might actually be detrimental to your image, to your reputation, all of that. You understand what I'm saying? So you might have people, depending on what you use to you know, create that mystery and retain that mystery, you know what I'm saying, that sense of mystery in people's minds. It's like whatever you use, your methods of just like yeah, constructing that kind of image for yourself, that's what's gonna determine like how people fill in those gaps. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think I did make sense there, because, you know, an example that I was thinking about right now is that David artist, right? The one who was associated with that girl whose lifeless body was found inside of, you know, this Tesla that was allegedly David's. I don't know if these things are confirmed now. It was just like, yeah, it was a long ass story, but yeah, I'm thinking of him. The thing is with him, right? Like he, you know, he actually has this like crazy story about how he became artist. He was like one of the biggest artists in terms of his numbers, that is, one of the biggest artists to like, you know, do the genre that he was doing and the way that he was doing it and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Just like the little niche that he had created for himself. Like he was one of the biggest, and he was running that shit like solidly, bro. And it again, it was reflected in the business, in the numbers, until, you know what I'm saying, until that whole thing, you know, with all that incriminating information and just like, you know, that whole toxic scenario, and, you know, until all of that was attached to his name, bruh. Now, and obviously, you know, he was the artist, you know what I'm saying, does his thing. And then I think he had a closer relationship with his, again, chat, his community and things like that. But for the most part, bro, it was a mysterious guy, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I didn't even know about him until recently with this whole thing. Like, I think he reached even the billions of streams, you know what I mean? Independently too, right? So I think he reached that, but then now I never knew of him even with that. So, you know, some sort of mystery was there about this artist. And even right now, like with what's going on, hasn't said a thing. I don't think his legal team came out with any, you know, any new information about it. So like the whole mystery around him is now tainted like terribly, right? Because of the situation that has befallen him. You know what I mean? So it's like sometimes like people can fill in, and people were filling in gaps. Obviously, there were hit pieces, content pieces online going around like, you know, he really did do this or whatever, you know, without any solid evidence, without any, you know, official judgment from, you know, the legal fraternities or whatever. You know, people were filling in gaps. Now I'm just saying, like, yo, this is where I eject myself out of that David situation, right? That was just a silly example. But now I'm talking in general. What if, like, maybe, you know, some crazy shit happens around you, and you're this mysterious person, and then people fill in like crazy gaps, like crazy information in the gaps. You know what I mean? Whereas maybe, let's say you're probably innocent, or you probably have nothing to do with whatever gaps that you're trying to fill, or, you know, it's completely unrelated to the truth or reality. You know what I'm saying? Like what are we doing? I feel like at that point we are counteracting what we try, like our intention at that point, right? It's like we adding more poison to our food.
Think about the most captivating people you know.
Why?
They probably don't tell you everything.
Yeah.
They share enough to keep you engaged, but they leave you wanting to know more. This isn't accidental. It's strategic. Now, let's talk about practical applications.
Let's talk about it.
In professional settings, controlled exposure means being selective about which ideas you share and when you share them. It means not revealing all your capabilities at once. It means keeping some of your knowledge in reserve so you can provide value when it's most needed. For example, instead of showing all your skills in the first week of a new job, you might reveal them gradually over time.
Yeah, but you see now in a market where when we talking job markets and shit like that, you trying to show your good side, at least initially, so that, you know what I'm saying, they don't get rid of your ass. Like, you got to show 100% capacity. You feel me? And then I feel like over time it listens and listens because nobody really gives a fuck, right? It's just like to prove your positioning long-term wise, I guess.
Creates the impression that you're continuously growing and improving, rather than someone who peaked early. In social situations, controlled exposure means not telling your entire life story to everyone you meet. It means sharing personal information gradually as relationships develop and trust is earned. This doesn't mean being secretive or dishonest.
What do you mean?
It means being selective and strategic about what you reveal and to whom. In negotiations, controlled exposure means not revealing all your priorities and constraints up front. It means keeping some information in reserve so you can use it strategically as the negotiation develops.
Nice.
The key principle is this: information revealed can never be unrevealed. Once people know something about you, they can't unknow it. So it's better to err on the side of revealing too little rather than too much.
Okay.
But controlled exposure goes beyond just withholding information. It's also about timing. The same piece of information can have completely different impacts depending on when it's revealed.
Yeah.
For example, revealing a particular skill or achievement early in a relationship might seem like bragging, but revealing the same information later when it's relevant to solving a problem makes you seem humble and helpful. Controlled exposure also involves understanding your audience.
Yeah.
Different people need to know different things about you. Your level of disclosure should match the relationship and the situation. Your closest friends and family members should know more about you than your casual acquaintances.
That's true.
Your business partners should know different things about you than your competitors. Your employees should know different things about you than your peers.
Yep, there we go. Compartmentalization. Right? Compartmentalize.
This isn't about being fake or manipulative. It's about being appropriate and strategic with your personal information.
It is.
Here's another important aspect. Controlled exposure includes managing your digital footprint. Everything you post online, every comment you make, every photo you share becomes part of your permanent record.
Yep, digital footprint.
People will form opinions about you based on this information, often without ever meeting you. Smart people are intentional about their online presence. They understand that their digital persona is part of their overall strategy for how they want to be perceived and remembered.
There we go.
The goal of controlled exposure is not to be mysterious for the sake of being mysterious.
What's it about?
The goal is to maintain control over your narrative and your relationships. When you reveal information strategically, you can guide how people perceive you. You can emphasize the aspects of your personality and experience that are most relevant to your current goals. You can avoid being pigeonholed or stereotyped based on incomplete information. But here's the balance you need to maintain.
Where is it?
You want to share enough to build genuine connections with people, but not so much that you lose.
Oh shit, whoa, before we forget, these are actually the morals to the story. Right? Morals of the story right here.
Use your strategic advantage. The most successful people understand this balance. They're open and genuine in their relationships, but they're also strategic about how much they reveal and when they reveal it. Number 8, outcome obsession. You're not here to win arguments or prove points. You're here to get results. People who focus only on outcomes never waste time on unnecessary games. Machiavelli once said, "The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present." This is the trait that separates amateurs from professionals, dreamers from achievers, and talkers from doers.
Okay, cool. Let's
Most people get distracted by things that don't matter.
Right?
They want to be right more than they want to be effective.
Yeah, and I'd say that's more of the emotional, emotionally inclined people. You know what I mean? Where the temperament is so like it's just ready to go. You know what I mean? It's like the emotional reaction is what ends up just even clouding, logical judgment and shit like that, right? Where like, I feel like I'm right. I have to be right, and like your emotion is just controlling you to just, it's driving you towards like, no, I have to be validated as right. It's like it's not effective though. You feel me?
They want to look good more than they want to get results. They want to feel good.
Yeah, but then again, it's like you have to ask yourself, what kind of result is this person looking for? You know what I mean? And that's where that psychoanalytical shit like gets helpful. It's like you can psychoanalyze somebody from just like the kind of results that they the momentum that they build their lives in terms of the decisions they make. You know what I mean? AKA the kind of results that they look for. You know what I mean? Other people can just like, it's about the quickest way for me to be noticed or validated as right. It's like the shortcut. Like, what's the shortcut? Feel me? Whereas, that's not the point right now. Right now it's maybe for the team to win, dog. And we looking like a bunch of losers right now because of how you're acting, literally. Tee up, bro. Like, focus, and you know what I'm saying? Where it's like, nah, bro, no, I gotta, get my point across. Like, you're wrong, I'm right. It's like, oh God, right? But then again, now if you know the patterns of this guy or this girl or whatever, you know the kind of results that they look for. You know what I'm saying? This guy, he does have this habit of wanting to be seen and shit. So you then know when not to start this kind of shit, because you know what I'm saying, to spare yourself this kind of energy at the same time, because ain't nobody got no time for that.
About their process more than they want to achieve their goals.
Yeah.
Outcome obsession cuts through all of that noise.
Right.
When you're outcome obsessed, you ask different questions. Instead of, how can I prove I'm right? You ask, what result am I trying to achieve? Instead of, how can I look good in this situation? You ask, what actions will lead to the outcome I want?
Yeah.
This shift in thinking changes everything.
Everything?
Let's start with arguments and disagreements. Most people approach arguments like they're trying to win a debate.
Yeah.
They focus on proving their point, catching the other person in contradictions, and demonstrating their superior knowledge or logic. But outcome-obsessed people approach disagreements differently. They ask, what do I actually want to achieve from this conversation?
Right.
Maybe they want to change the other person's behavior. Maybe they want to reach a compromise. Maybe they want to gather information about the other person's perspective. Once they're clear on their desired outcome, they choose their approach accordingly.
Yeah.
Sometimes that means winning the argument, but often it means something completely different. For example, if your goal is to change someone's behavior, proving them wrong might actually backfire. People don't like being wrong, and they often become more stubborn when they feel attacked. A better approach might be
So, but then now, if you want to prove them wrong deliberately, what does that change? What does proving them wrong change? Wait, I would conclude it changes nothing actually, proving them wrong. It just like humbles them, right? Oh yeah, now it changes their arrogance. Well, that's if they're willing to learn from being proved wrong, right?
to help them reach the right conclusion on their own.
Yep.
If your goal is to maintain a good relationship while addressing a problem, being right might be less important than finding a solution that everyone can accept.
Okay.
This applies to every area of life. In professional settings, outcome obsession means focusing on what actually moves the business forward rather than what makes you look smart or important. It means choosing projects based on their impact rather than their visibility.
Yeah.
It means making decisions based on data and results rather than politics and preferences. In personal relationships, outcome obsession means focusing on the health and happiness of the relationship rather than who's right or wrong in any particular disagreement.
Nice.
It means choosing your battles based on what actually matters rather than reacting to every minor irritation. In personal development, outcome obsession means measuring your progress by actual results rather than effort or intentions. It means being honest about what's working and what isn't, even when that's uncomfortable. Here's where outcome obsession gets really powerful.
Where?
It helps you avoid the trap of looking busy without being productive. Many people confuse activity with achievement.
Achievement.
They think that working hard automatically leads to good results. But outcome-obsessed people understand that you can work very hard on the wrong things and get nowhere.
There we go.
They're constantly asking, is this activity actually moving me toward my goal?
Yeah, that's where you even get like dumbass criminals. That's why I was like, yo, actually, if you're a dumb motherfucker and you just keep getting caught like doing stupid shit, you're not really a criminal. A criminal is somebody who's professionally like just doing this whole thing, right? But obviously it's degenerate, and it's like, yo, I feel like they're the kind of people actually to realize that you get nowhere with like degeneracy. You know what I'm saying? Because what are you gonna do with all that dirty money? You know what I mean? It's like that's when it hits them that, yo, nah, dog. This kind of activity, like, we're not achieving anything of, you know, great value here, of positive value, constructive value. You know what I mean? We're actually working towards, you know, we are attaining more burden at an appreciating rate. It's at an appreciating rate because you might, you know, the proceeds might be coming in and you're doing your thing. You're really a criminal, really a professional, you know, somebody who's just like robs and, you know, scams and all of that kind of shit, right? But then what are you gonna do with that money? It's not taxed. Once you try and put it in the system, the tax man is gonna like ask you some questions about it. You can't put it in no bank account, you know, at like great amounts. There's certain things you gotta do before you can like consider it clean and for it to be in the system as clean money. But as I said, it's a burden that you create for yourself. It's more work that you got to create for yourself, and, you know, situation that you got to deal with. But then that's why I'm saying, you know, you create for yourself burdens at an appreciating. No, wait, what did I mean to say? Oh, you lessening burdens at an wait, what? Creating burdens at a depreciating rate. Oh yeah, at a depreciating rate, right? Because you're creating more work for yourself to do to clean the money up, while that burden doesn't create it lessens the suffering a little bit, because, you know, you're still limited in what you can do with the proceeds of that kind of shit. So you're not free, but you still have this resource, right, that could keep you excited and keep you like, yo, at least there's some shit we can do with this. But you know.
Or am I just staying busy to avoid the more difficult but more important work?
Oh shit.
This leads to what I call strategic laziness.
Nice.
Outcome-obsessed people often appear to do less than others because they're selective about where they put their energy.
Yeah.
They focus on the 20% of activities that produce 80% of the results. They're not trying to be the hardest worker. They're trying to be the most effective worker. This also applies to learning and skill development. Instead of trying to learn everything about everything, outcome-obsessed people focus on developing the specific skills that will have the biggest impact on their goals. They ask, what's the minimum I need to learn to achieve maximum results? This isn't about being lazy or taking shortcuts. It's about being strategic and efficient. Now, here's an important warning about outcome obsession. It can become destructive if you lose sight of your values and relationships in pursuit of results.
Nice.
The healthiest approach is to be outcome obsessed within ethical boundaries.
Yeah.
Your desired outcomes should include maintaining your integrity, treating people well, and contributing positively to the world around.
I'm not gonna lie, right? This for me is kind of like a book. You know what I'm saying? This is kind of like reading a book. And I have shared before, like, that, you know, I don't really like reading books, but this is the same shit for me. You know what I'm saying? This is damn near an audiobook, no cap.
Around you. When these values are built into your definition of success, outcome obsession becomes a powerful force for good. Another key aspect of outcome obsession is the willingness to change course when something isn't working. Most people get attached to their plans and strategies even when those plans aren't producing results. Outcome-obsessed people are attached to their goals, not their methods. If one approach isn't working, they try a different approach. If one strategy isn't effective, they develop a new strategy. They're not stubborn about how they achieve their outcomes. They're only stubborn about achieving the outcomes themselves. This flexibility makes them incredibly adaptable and resilient. When circumstances change, they adjust their approach. When new information becomes available, they update their strategy. The ultimate goal of outcome obsession is to become someone who consistently gets things done, not someone who talks about getting things done, not someone who looks like they're getting things done, someone who actually produces results in the real world. This reputation becomes incredibly valuable over time. When people know you as someone who delivers on your commitments and achieves your goals, they start bringing you better opportunities, better partnerships, and better problems to solve. You've just learned the 8 traits of dark intelligence, but knowledge